the mayor's update. Sorry we're running a little bit late. I did a little bit of a fancier setup and held up the broadcast a little bit, but we're here, we're live. We have two fantastic guests along with the mayor. So without further ado, Mayor Joe, can you introduce our guests and talk a little bit about what we're going to say?
Absolutely. Apparently I'm the late Joe Preston. Just fun.
All my fault.
Right. First of all, we have two great guests tonight from the Inn, and we're going to talk about who they are and what they do and what great work they've been doing in our community. And then, we have a little less on the community side of announcements this time, because normally we'd be talking about what's happening this weekend. Well, in case you don't know, it's Christmas.
That's right.
So Merry Christmas. And so please send us in that you're having an event at your house. Just have your own event and talk about Mayor's Update while you're doing it. But on my left is Brian Elliott, the Executive Director at the Inn. Mark Berry, the Board of Directors Chair from the Inn. And I'm going to throw questions at both of you. But Brian, you're kind of new to our town and new to this position. Tell us about you and your background and where you came from.
Great. Well, first, thank you for having us on the show, Joe. Really appreciate it. So my background is I spent 28 years in the finance world and really fell in love through those roles working with not-for-profit organizations. And I really love the housing space. And I really do think housing starts at the homeless level. Yeah. We can look at the entire spectrum, but I really like how we're dealing with those that are the most vulnerable in our community. And the Inn has a rich history of dealing with that in St.Thomas. Been very progressive. So it's great to be part of an amazing organization and doing work in a great city like St. Thomas.
Well, great. We're going to get to some specific how we're moving forward. Mark, you and I have known each other for a while here, yes. and certainly even it seems like many years, but I had a 4-year term as mayor, and now back again. But in that 4 years, how we have grown from emergency sheltering point of view,
and kept up. We kept going
and kept saying, "Yeah, that's not enough. Move forward.
That's right.
We need just a little bit more." Well, I mean, I try to remind people that in my first year as mayor, we didn't have a year-round shelter. We closed it in April and opened it again in November, and we quickly had to go to work. Okay, that's it. And then the capacity at the old Out of the Cold at Central United was always an issue, because the church was really kind to us and let us use the facility, but it was theirs. And occasionally they had something else they wanted to do.
Other things planned, Joe.
Imagine that. The church wanted to use its own facility.
That's right. So
we started looking, about 2 years ago, I would think, how can we more permanently find a home for our shelter, our emergency shelter, and how can we increase the capacity of it? And your board was integral in helping us put that together move forward.
That's right.
If we look at today, just 1 year ago from today, December 21st, we would have been still at Central United. We would have been starting to pack, perhaps, but we were still there. We had capacity for about 20. And through COVID, sometimes even just a little less, depending on what we had to do from a distancing point of view.
Right.
Sometimes a little more, too, because we would squeeze if we had to. Brian, we're sitting today we can have 40 regular guests, we think, at the Inn, and we are now trying to squeeze. What can we do for the extra 10 or 15 or 20 we may need on a really cold night this year? But I was just thinking this week, and I think Sandra and I were talking about it. Isn't it incredible that we've doubled the number of people that have come indoors to the shelter, to the Inn, in just a 12-month period of time? Less than 12 months. Yeah. And that was always our hard part. We knew we had beds. As the mayor, I was always want to say, I have capacity tonight for everybody who wants to come and take a bed at the emergency shelter. And I hope we can still say that through this winter. But we know our spring plans to put 45 more supportive beds on the street makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
But Brian, what in your mind, and Mark too, how did we convince another 20 that this was a better thing than what they were doing? Because homeless as a total is not truly improved, gone up in
No,
our
it's-
community.
in
As a
fact,
matter of
it's gone
fact,
up.
it's gone a little down
Yes.
because where we're going on Build for Zero. So we must be doing something right because we're attracting more people overnight each night.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of the reason that we have doubled our capacity in terms of being able to take people in is that we now can offer them 3 meals a day.
Yep.
We can offer them, they don't, at the church, we would have to get up and get everybody out the door.
Yes, the church needs the church.
The
Could
church
you leave
needs
by
the
8,
church.
please?
That's
Yes,
right.
it was,
And
yeah.
it does sometimes is a real struggle to get
Yeah.
people up and get.
I'm not getting up.
That's right. It's cold out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that has been a real bonus for all of our people, all of our guests, because if they want to sleep in, they can sleep in, and they can skip breakfast if they don't get down there in time, and they can wait
There
for
will
lunch.
be food.
There will
Right.
always be, and
Right.
if not, there's snacks.
Right.
So they've always got access at some point during the day. Plus, they can have a shower. Plus, they can do their laundry.
Yeah.
All of those things now we can give people. And a lot of people, when we were at the church, just weren't comfortable because the space was so tight. And now they have their own space. They can do their own laundry quietly on their own time.
Right.
And they could talk to. We have all of our community services are all there as
And
well.
I see a different van out front most days,
Most
and
days.
sometimes 2 or 3.
That's
I think
right.
Community Care Health Center was there yesterday,
Right?
Yeah.
right? And then
We have obviously CCHC and
right,
Dr. Mai and his team
Yeah.
in there every Tuesday seeing our guests. We have CMHA, Thames Valley Addiction
Right.
Services. We have the Hep C clinic. We actually are having a mobile COVID and booster shot early
Yes.
January. We've got, we've had ID
well, our
clinics.
housing people,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Right.
The social service and housing group here at the city. We have ID clinics. So, we're seeing our ability from the expansion of the inn to really service
A
more
better
of those
network.
individuals.
Absolutely.
A better,
Yeah.
a better
Absolutely.
wraparound service,
Yes.
we love to call it.
Yeah.
And people don't get lost like they used to.
No,
Because you would make an appointment and say, okay, you have to be somewhere at tomorrow at noon or the
Right.
day after, and then they
Now
wouldn't
it's,
either.
we need
go-
you right here.
Right, that's right.
Right? So
Now we
don't
just-
leave tomorrow morning.
Just go in that
Right.
room over there and they'll talk to
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
It's great. And that's why people are able to get housed, because we have ID clinics and we can
Well-
take care of all of those things.
That's an important piece, and I think we should brag on this a little bit more. It's quite funny as I speak to Indwell or to other mayors or other communities across Ontario. I'm asked always, "Wow, what are you doing in St. Thomas? How are you able to move this?" And I said, first of all, we have fantastic people who work together on a lot of this, right? But we wanted to start at the most vulnerable. Make the emergency shelter the prominent piece of that, and then move quickly to supportive housing using Indwell,
Yes.
so that we can graduate more people. But in talking to you this week, Brian, and talking to our own housing people, we've had like 4 or 5 more people move into permanent housing in just the last short
That's
period of time.
Just today alone, 2 more people have
Wow.
moved
See?
into housing. And I think that's a testament
Right.
to the work of the team at the inn. They are fantastic. The board is driven to make those things happen for us, which is
Right.
great.
So that opens up some capacity, obviously, if 2
Absolutely.
have found some permanent housing, and that works great too, right? But it also gives us the thought of why this works.
That's right.
That doing all of these things is the answer. The answer wasn't just 4 walls and a bed.
No, not at
No.
all.
Right.
No.
And 1 meal a day, or whatever it might have been in
That's
the
right.
past. It is all of the things to make it, we're going to help you find a home, not just a sleeping spot,
That's
but
right.
a home. And so you work with us,
That's right.
and it does work. Hey, look,
Absolutely.
there is issues. Look, we've got mental health issues, and we have some addiction issues in our community. And thank you to CMHA and the hard work that they do with your group, with our group, the ACT team, the St. Thomas Elgin General Hospital team, and the Central Community Health Center.
Absolutely.
All of them as a group. Who can help most? CMHA also provides housing. Right? They are the mental health agency, but they also supply housing. But the great news that we can say tonight, we've been saying it all week, is we now have the funding and the ability to move forward with the rehab and detox and crisis mental health beds. And we're going to start quite slowly with CMHA to make sure we get it right. And of course, hiring for them is as hard as it is for you.
Else.
Right?
That's right.
And so we've got
Absolutely.
to start slow to make it work. But there was something we promised, I don't know, it was probably 4 years ago now. We said St. Thomas will be in the right playground, doing the right things, if we can get some detox, rehab, and mental health crisis beds in our community. We've accomplished it, and it will be a godsend to you, to our police, to our hospital.
Absolutely.
Right, to have
No
something else.
question of it.
And look, we thank Ginny and Don down at the Annex for really a lot of support on this. CMHA for really stepping up and saying they do it. The city really working on where and how. This is a growth thing that not every city would be excited about, but you can't wipe the smile off my face right now because we've kind of accomplished each of the steps. Now we got to get through till April when when Queen Street opens.
Correct.
And we could house 40 new people.
Imagine. It's incredible, isn't it?
40 new people. Everybody who's sleeping tonight at the end would have a spot in a true permanent home with supportive mental health and crisis and all of that wraparound service, opening up the emergency shelter to 40 more.
That's
who we can bring off the street and into that.
That's correct.
Look, I can't thank you enough, for both of you enough, for participating with us. This has not been easy. And look, I don't know if you follow all of the St. Thomas social media the same as Grayden and I do, but there's a whole lot of why it isn't working. And they just simply need to walk to another community and say, "Is it working in St. Thomas?" And they'll be told that it is.
Yes, that's
and I'm not bragging on it. I'm just saying it is the
You
right
should,
way.
though.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the right way to go.
It
We're
is.
getting the big things done first.
right.
And if communities are supposed to work on housing, and that is one of our mandates, is to work on housing, well, then why wouldn't we work on homelessness first? The square root of housing. Truly, yes. I mean, the bottom line of housing, let's work on the emergency shelter first, get people healthier and more capable of living with each other. And then as they move on to whether it's the Rail City Lofts next, where there's maybe a little more intense supportive housing, and then the Queen Street project. And we had Indwell in here this week talking about project number 3. This council has been just over the top about housing, and we've said, I'm sorry you sent us all back. I'm not sorry you sent us all back. I'm really quite happy you sent us all back. But we're taking that as permission to move forward on the housing plans that we already have in place, that this city has been working on in each of the little parts, and none of them are easy. Brian, tell me about the inn. And I know about some of the needs. I know the hiring needs. I know the volunteer needs, the food, right?
Absolutely.
Personal goods. I don't know if it's shampoo or laundry detergent.
Well, I can help you with that.
Please tell us.
That's right.
So,
we have a needs list.
Yeah, we always feel free to visit our website. We're always updating it with our current needs. Right now, laundry products are always welcome. You've seen some of our posts on Facebook. We've had some great donors put up some things on there around the inn needing underwear, both men's and women's, all sizes. Those are really the critical things right now. This community is, quite frankly, overwhelmed me in the past month with the donations of the clothing, socks, just so many different things that have come in every single day.
And you'll take financial donations too.
Oh,
so
yes.
that you can go get the emergency needs.
You've already stolen my thunder. I was
Okay.
going to say, if you're already shopped out due to Christmas, feel free to send money, cash, checks.
Drop your credit card off. We'll be happy. We'll use it just for a day.
Absolutely.
Right.
Just if you
We'll
could
go
just
get
leave
our
me
own underpants.
your 3 digits on the back.
Yeah.
Gift cards are always welcome, but we'd be remiss if we didn't thank the community of St. Thomas for their support, and continue to look forward to them helping us out and what we're doing.
Well, this is how we make it better. It is a community effort. And we talked before we went on air tonight about, we had a group from the Immigration Partnership in here this week in the City Hall for a tour and to meet the mayor and to meet some of the department heads. We keep meeting people new to this community, and it's not just the Immigration Partnership, but during the last election, Grayden and I talked about this a lot. I just kept running into people that had been here 2 years, 3 years, and didn't know who the mayor was. Right? Didn't know, they love the place, and everybody, Pinafore Park, Waterworks Park, we've got some great stuff for people, downtown St. Thomas, right? But they're now learning what the city is doing, and they volunteered in their past communities. They were community conscious and gave in their past communities, and they're just asking us, what can I do to help? And of course, the inn is always on that list,
Always,
right?
yes.
Our local food bank does a fantastic job. As I mentioned, Ginny already done at Grace Cafe. The Food Network itself, the Poverty Coalition, which I also sit on. All of these things are needed in this community, and I say every year, I wish none of them were. But let's get there first.
That's right.
Let's make sure we get there successfully rather than avoiding it. We can't just close our eyes, bury our heads. We've got to say, let's be the best community, which is why we're pushing so hard on the program called Built for Zero.
Right.
Yes.
Which is a program across Canada of communities who have done a by names list. That is, we know the names of each of the people we're dealing with in our community on a general basis. We know them all. And because of that, agencies that are dealing with a person multiple times now know we are. Mm-hmm. And the by names list used to be, well, someone could go into our social services in the morning, into the food bank in the afternoon, into the CMHA in the evening, and we wouldn't know they were touched by all. But by connecting them all through a connected list, it makes us serve everyone in the appropriate way to fix the issues that they have. We are proud of what we've been able to do in St. Thomas. This council will be happy to carry on doing it. We think we're a couple of years away now from that Built to Zero, the zero part of Built to Zero, right? And I don't know, nobody else has reached it yet. Whether we can get there, we'll get there at our pace and in the right order with the right people in the right places. But part of the right place is the inn. And the emergency shelter provided by the inn. There is nothing that the mayor of this town would like better than to convert the inn into affordable housing. Right? And I talked about this week, and I said, that's our intent. We own the property that if it no longer is needed as an emergency shelter, we can immediately turn it into some affordable housing in a great place in our community. And continue to grow from that. There are still people who are having affordability problems. We want to work on those, but we have to work our way up from homelessness through supportive housing into affordable housing.
Absolutely.
And I think, Joe, too, it's very important for people to remember that you can't address any other issues as well as you can when you have a home.
Right.
If you have a home to go to, then you can work on your addictions. You can work
get
on
ID.
mental health. You can work on everything
all
else.
Sorts of things. Yes.
You can't do that when you're sleeping on the sidewalk. You just can't.
No,
you can't get a job.
Only worried about getting from one place to another.
Will I eat
getting
at noon?
clean? Can I eat today?
That's right. That's your job.
Will I be told to move on?
Right.
What crime may be perpetrated on me because I have don't have that protection either.
Right.
There's safety in places like secure shelters.
Absolutely.
Supportive housing. That's the safety piece too, right? But there is also the medical side.
Absolutely.
I can't cure myself of an addiction
unless
or a
I
mental
have a
health
place
issue. If I have a place to live, I can.
I'm warm, I'm clean, I'm fed. And
Right.
then I'll work on
Right.
everything else that I need to work on.
And the integration here in St. Thomas is great amongst all these organizations. And the inn having the space to bring partners in to support
Right.
these guests
Yes.
means that we're building relationships. We're building that trust to take them to that next level, to help them overcome addictions, to help them get the treatment for their mental health, to continue to grow and be part of the community
a productive
in a
member.
different way than they are today.
Absolutely.
I forgot to mention the church groups too, because we have a lot of
Yes.
many church
Yes.
groups in our community. We mentioned Central United and the heavy lifting they did to get In Out of the Cold started
Absolutely.
and use the position. But many churches in our community, including I don't want to mention any of them because I will forget some. Almost all of them play a large part in the inn
Yes.
because their congregation also
Yes.
looks at what can we do to help. And then we're looking for more churches to be even more involved. And please, so if you are part of your congregation, please talk to your congregation about how you can help. First of all, fund each of those organizations that are doing so much in our community. But we're also looking for your church. And there will be times in our community when churches have amalgamated and moved. And there's a couple of great churches in our community that still have maybe way less members of their church than they used to have. And if it's something you're thinking about, please come talk to us. It's something else we've been working with Indwell on, and some of the projects they've been working on across. There's now 2 or 3 in Waterloo and Kitchener of churches that have kept their sanctuary, kept their church because it's a lower congregation than it used to be, but it's turned what used to be the auditorium or the offices into supportive housing.
Yes.
As part of the church. And so please, we're asking you, you can help us with that. Please shout out.
Yes.
We need to find those next affordable and supportive housing pieces, and some of them will be great big churches in our community that are no longer using all their space. I think that's the best way.
Get you halfway there to the housing. piece.
Tomorrow,
It's already.
I'll tell you,
takes half
it's
the
got
time.
4 walls.
That's right.
It's got water
And a
and
basement.
sewers.
Yeah.
And
water.
I'm not
It's just a
kidding.
retrofit.
That's
No,
right.
good to go.
Exactly.
I'm not kidding, and I don't want to be facetious. It really is an integral good first step. And we also have
Without doubt.
the other thing that many of our community churches have is space. Many of them were built with extra large parking lots because they had a huge
That's right.
congregation.
That's right.
And
Exactly.
maybe we build on the parking lot with Indwell or someone else, and you need a much smaller parking lot. And I don't want to point at any churches near here, but there are some very big places we can do that and do it pretty quickly,
Yes.
or large lawns or whatever else it might be around a church. Think about it and talk about it yourselves with the elders in your church as to how you can help. But in the meantime, don't stop what you're already doing and helping the inn.
Absolutely.
Showing up with that trunk load of winter coats, showing up with that trunk load of Tide laundry
Socks.
detergent, socks, right? I think I saw Faith Church delivered 3,200
That's
socks today, right? So I don't know whose sock drawer they took them out of, but way to go. Many of them look to be in new packaging,
Yes.
so they went out and shopped for some socks.
And I would be remiss, we're so close to Christmas, those people still looking for stocking stuffers.
Right.
We still have some calendars for sale.
Oh,
That's
yes.
right.
That
Oh, I
feature
I should have brought one in.
our very own mayor,
Yeah.
and he looks
Oh, it's
spectacular in the calendar.
He looks old because it's from an old time. No.
Yeah. Makeup. That was just
No,
makeup.
it's
Joe.
just, yeah. Hey, wait, if you haven't seen it, go on. Is it on the website?
It's on the web.
Go take a look. There's some great people you would know around town that are
Yes.
as part of this calendar. While we're filming the calendar, we even did a mayor's update with.
That's right. That's
with
perfect.
it, so you can look back at the old mayor's updates and see the calendar in production. But it's a fantastic fundraiser for the inn. For a place that needs the cash, and for $5 you can stuff a stocking, right?
$20.
$20, Joe.
Oh, it's 20. Okay.
It's still a bargain.
No, it's
still a bargain. It's actually
I know I
priceless
bought a
gift.
bunch and I said, I should have known how much I spent on them perhaps. Now Stephanie has a reasonable, no. But great, please, it's another fundraiser. Please help from a community point of view in every way you can. One of the other ones we didn't mention was the police and the new downtown
yes.
Police
Special
service.
constables.
And look, they're everywhere and want to be, and it's making a huge difference in our downtown. And giving people a safe, warm place to go every night is what you do, and I thank you for it. Grayden, I got a couple of minutes to do just a couple of other things.
We got to get trivia in. We got to
Oh,
get. I've been
mention
waiting on
one
the button
thing?
here.
Brian's got 1 minute.
I'm so glad you brought up the special constables.
Yeah.
They have been a great presence, and we've been very thankful for them. And their training in the social services and working with our guests, I think, will make a huge difference long term.
No, it creates a community in a community when people know who we're dealing with and the names of, and perhaps who's having a not good, so great day.
Right.
And our special constables know the people now by face, by name, and so it helps, right? Yeah. When we know that, the same thing, right? Because look, even the mayor has a bad day once in a while, right? And we all, the special constables don't come over. No, I'm just kidding.
We send them over.
Oh, no, please do. Please do. I run into them a lot on the street and on the trails. But, right. You go trivia.
All right. So trivia. So I switched up because we have some amazing guests here, and we had a pretty amazing event. I'm not going to say how many years ago because you guys are going to have to figure this out. But we were all there. You were there. You were there. I'm not sure if you were there, but it was. Again, I'm trying to say. I'm trying not to say the amount of years it was ago. But this is the trivia question for today: is what year did the Inn become a 24-hour, 365 days a year shelter?
Okay.
That is your trivia question. You guys can answer it in the chat there, and we'll just continue on.
Right, we'll carry on. All right. Well, Grayden, we'll talk about a couple of other community things because there isn't too many community events. But please don't forget the food bank in your donations and stuff this time of year too, right? Please. A lot of conversation on social media this week about Fantasy of Lights.
Yes, very exciting.
And it was a great conversation. But how many people reached out to the mayor and said, why aren't we doing lights in Pinafore Park this year? And I shared with them that the city never did. That for the last 2 years, we did the drive-by parade with the member of provincial parliament, the member of parliament, and myself, and a couple of other volunteers. But Grayden, I remember you, me, and the
DDB. We were all there putting up our display.
Doing the work, right? And so what we're asking for is if you would like there to be, in the future, a light display like Fantasy of Lights, the city is on board. The city wants Pinafore Park to be that, and we will be looking right now, can't do it this year, so for next year, looking at how we will light many trees in the park. But if you'd like it to go back to the old style Fantasy of Lights where there's displays and a lot of volunteers needed, I know there was a meeting tonight of 2 or 3 different groups that were getting together to talk about this. Thank you. When you have your volunteers in place, your fundraising plan in place, your business plan in place, come talk to us. We'll all get together, and it is something we can do. But please, we want you to talk about volunteering. Grayden, you and I talk about every week for the last 6 or 8 weeks, and every year for the last 4 about snow angels.
Yes.
And here's another, we always talk what you want the city to do for you in the way of like something like Fantasy of Lights, right? I'm not going to quote John Kennedy. But we're asking you, my mother always said, the price of living someplace is the price volunteering is the price you pay, right? If you live in this community, you should have something that you're interested in that you do. Well, the Snow Angels program, again, we've not had snow, but boy, we're sure hearing about how bad this weekend might be.
Big angels.
And we have not been able to fill in all of the angel spots that we need. So talking about volunteering in this community, that's another place. You take any volunteer that walked in the door right now, pretty much, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Right? If that's
Right.
something you want to do, volunteers help run it. There are hired staff. But it's a wide range. Please.
Lots of things they can do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We can't run it with the last time I looked at the numbers, it was 400 volunteer hours a month
Right.
to run the inn.
Right.
That's a lot of
And that was
volunteering.
still stressing.
That's right.
But yes.
Exactly.
Right.
We're always looking for more volunteers.
Right.
At one time, we had 134. And then when COVID hit, it dropped down to almost nothing.
Right.
And we're working our way back up to that
Yes.
number again.
Right.
Because we need those hours. We need those people. We can't do it without you.
And
We
like
really can't.
we're 24 hours now, 365 days of a year. Robert Furno is saying, was it 2019 that happened?
The first, well, it wouldn't have been 24 hours a day because we still had to leave the church. It would
That's
have been
right.
7 days a week,
Yeah.
and it would have been 365 days of the year.
So it's kind of a trick question.
Right. It is a trick question. When did we get to where it was now also 24/7? The
right.
building, we never left the building.
But
And even-
we can give a bonus question for that.
Oh, sure. Give me your
For
answer.
300. When did we go to 365 days a year? What year was that?
That was 21.
21.
2021, and we're now, right?
22.
Which is
It was not long ago when
No.
we finally got to where we could emergency shelter every day of the week.
Mhm.
And then COVID, and
That's
we
right.
had to
Yeah.
split out daytime warming centers and nighttime sleeping centers and all the different things that we had to do. And thank you to the inn out of the cold at the day that ran all of those things for
That's
the
right.
city.
Yeah.
We did.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
It was
incredible.
now great with the help of all those other community groups we've been mentioning over and over again. It is a community effort, but we're faced with and a couple of COVID outbreaks that we had to deal
Oh,
with.
yes.
And how would we?
That's right. It was
You know,
very
and-
difficult for us
and
to
I
try
will
and
tell
keep
you
everything
what
going.
how it kept me awake at night.
Right.
What if we had this tomorrow? What if we had this tomorrow? And we had a practice emergency management team meeting this week because each city has to practice at least once a year. And I said, I'm not sure we need the practice, folks. We just been
Just came out of it.
we just been 2 years of every
Practicing.
day thinking, what is it going to be
Oh,
today?
man.
How are we going to deal with
Yeah.
it today? All right. Another group that I had a meeting with this week is food security. And in our community, we have a lot of groups that work on food in our community, whether it's Harvest Hands or the great work that Ginny does at Grace Cafe. What do you got?
Sharon Montgomery Anderson, 2021.
Yeah.
That's it. There
That's
we
it.
go.
Okay.
A year ago,
That's right. That's
A
right.
year ago.
which seems crazy.
Well,
I know.
and
It does, doesn't it?
how much has been accomplished in short order.
Oh, yeah.
And then in that period of time, we opened Rail City Lofts.
Yeah.
We're 3/4 of the way through the build at Queen Street. The future looks bright going forward, and I can't get it. I think it was Letitia from the Nameless on the front step said to me, "Why does it take so long to build these buildings?" I said, "Well, because it does."
Yes.
Right? We're talking about 40 homes for people at the Queen Street. You know how long it takes to build individual homes 40 times if you were building
right.
single-family homes?
Exactly. It's a
So
good way
think
of
of it
thinking
that
of it.
way.
Exactly.
Right? It's a little less to do it in an apartment building, but not that much.
No.
There's a lot of fit-up that has to
That's
be
a
done.
brilliant way of thinking
Yeah.
about it. It puts it into perspective.
And that's why you need to plan ahead like you are now.
Right. Exactly.
Because you're not just building for the amount of people you have, you're building for extra capacity now.
Yes.
So in the
Right.
future, people will get taken care of if they.
Much quicker,
Yeah.
much faster.
Absolutely.
It'd be
Well,
so
and
nice that
are
they
brought into the system quicker
Yep.
and noticed if it's someone who isn't a regular.
Mhm.
Did someone just become newly homeless?
Yes.
Let's find out why. Maybe we can fix that quick enough. Maybe it's I just got thrown out of mom's, whatever it could
Yeah.
be.
Yep.
Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's a lot of other things. But the quicker we recognize that, and Grayden, you and I have talked on the mayor's update more than once about, well, our other communities bringing people to St. Thomas.
No.
We say no, because we would notice that
Yes.
at the front end of the inn, at the front end of Grace Cafe, at the front end of the food bank. Well, where are you from? And then we help them get back home if that's what it takes.
That's right. Yes.
Or we settle them back into a
Absolutely.
home that they already have.
Yeah,
Don't turn people. Sorry, Brian,
we-
but we don't turn people away. We bring them in, and we try and get them back to where they belong as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And just think about, I always think about how if we can get you home in a home, and it doesn't take a year or 2 years, it takes maybe 4 or 5 months. Just think how less deep you get into your addiction.
Yeah.
How you don't get as sick with mental health issues, because
It's a stressful life.
It's a stressful life, and we get to work with you much sooner and quicker and save you from all of that.
Right.
And I think that's important to think about.
Yeah.
Exactly. So as I was saying, we're talking about food security, and that's another level. The community itself, St. Thomas, municipalities in Canada have an obligation to deal with housing. And this community's taken it on in spades and saying yes. But one of the other conversations this week is how do we make sure people aren't going hungry too? And so again, great groups working together through the Poverty Coalition and a number of others to talk about how will we feed. Should we do, you remember the community meals?
Oh, yes.
Right,
Oh,
that we
my
used
word,
to do
yes.
at Central United.
We have as many as 70 people
Right.
in
And
there.
it's a goal that we kind of get back to being able to do a community meal on a given night.
Right.
Now, you're already feeding, you're fine, right? But even some of the people in some of our supportive housing that are
right.
supposed to take care of their own food needs and stuff, we could help, and many families in our community we could help. So we're looking for to move that forward in a not so much the city leading it, but as the Poverty Coalition leads it in a far better place, and perhaps back to the community meal,
Right.
and even the night version of the Meals on Wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That we could also do. So let's plan as a community that's one of our goals as we move forward too. We had a group in the council chambers this week from the Immigration Partnership. They came and visited us, and that was a great to hear from people who have come to our community that bragged on how giving and caring our community was. So that also tells us we're in the right place and we're doing the right things.
Doing the right things. That's right. Yeah.
The other thing from the Immigration Partnership, there is a survey they're doing right now. Please go to their website and take a look. They're looking for some people on a survey on diversity that they're looking at. We promised them we would bring that up too. Grayden, any questions from the public tonight? The mayor hasn't answered any tough question. I want to say one, because I was on St. Thomas Happenings today, and somebody said, well, I'm not going on Mayor's Update with my question because they just filter them all and they don't get answered. Well, we have never filtered a question in our life, and we've answered every one we can possibly answer. So if you have questions for us, please leave them in the comment section of today's Mayor's Update. By the time we do another one, we'll try and get the answer to those questions. We look up, we both follow it. And please, the other thing we've forgotten to tell you all in the last couple of weeks is tell your friends. We normally tell you at the start of the show so you can get them on so they can watch tonight, but it's not always the case. But if you go to Established Media on Facebook and look up the old Mayor's Updates, you can go back. It's dangerous for a politician to leave all that stuff out there, stuff I've said over 4 years, right? Because I think it's all still true.
You were just reelected. I think you're good.
My life.
Yeah, I think you're okay.
All right. Thank you. But please tell your friends to watch Mayor's Update. Tell that if they have a question about the city, whether it's about transit, it's about garbage pickup, it's about the water coming on, or the wastewater treatment, or the Horton Market, or the trails we have in our community, you name it. We want to hear from you. It's either through Mayor's Update or through customer service at stthomas.ca. Ask the questions of us, right? I brought up the Immigration Partnership Group. Many of them come from countries where governments aren't trusted, right? Like here, or police aren't trusted like here. And we wanted to really be as open and as honest as we can. You can ask any question you want. Please do. It's not a wrong question. We may not be able to answer it the way you want, but we're going to do it.
Yeah,
right?
You might not like the answer necessarily, but you'll get an answer.
At least it's honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no questions at all tonight? I'm really,
No, just
where's
commendations.
the Christmas spirit?
Yeah.
That's
Merry
probably
Christmas.
why.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody's
It's like-
They're keeping it easy for us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for, you notice I wore my Christmas red shirt and
Oh,
my
yeah, call us
flashing too
out
quick,
now for
quit
not.
flashing, but no. Grayden?
Well, this has just been a fantastic show. I'm so glad that you were both able to join us today and
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the inn, because we had an interview with Lori. It was a year ago, and
Yeah.
we promised to bring the inn back on to talk about how you progressed, and obviously,
Right.
you continue to do amazing things in our community.
you.
Right.
And I'm so excited to see the amount of help you're providing for the people in our community that need it the most.
Well, thank you for having us on, Grayden
Yes.
and
Wow.
Joe. We've enjoyed it.
Well,
Yes,
And,
thank you so much.
Brian and I tried to do our best to work as a team, and it's been a real treat to be here and get to be able to talk about. I'll just one little story I'd like to say. We did a little sort of a survey with our guests, some of the longer term ones. And some of the testimonials or little stories that they gave us, there was one in particular that really got to me. And it was a gentleman who had been with us for quite some time. And what he said was that no matter what I did, no matter how sick I got, you always let me back in. You always took care of me. You gave me food. You gave me a place to sleep. And no matter what happened, you let me come back in. And that tells me, obviously, that wasn't the case in many ways for him. And he now has a place to live, and he has a job. And he said that
isn't
none
that
of that.
why we do it?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And to me, that's the
you
perfect
put a smile
story.
on my face and a tear in my eye.
That's right.
Exactly why
That's
we
right.
want to do this.
That's
that
right.
housing first is so important to us, so that we can give them the other supports that are needed to
That's
go
right.
with the housing. It
And
is
then he gets a
great.
job. He has a warm
Yep.
bed. He
Yep.
has food to eat and a television to watch, and life is perfect.
Wow.
And the people around him have seen him make that journey.
That's right.
And that
It
helps
gives them
others
hope.
too, doesn't it? Yeah.
It gives them hope that they saw him at his worst and,
Yes.
and able to move forward. So
Yeah.
it's an amazing story.
And we have a community that helps that transition.
Absolutely.
And you guys are the ones that are spearheading that.
Right.
And so, like we've mentioned before, there are ways to donate, to help out. Please do.
Yes.
Yes.
This is
We need the help.
incredible.
We need the
Always.
help. We always need the help.
Hey, we can do more if you help.
That's right.
There.
We'll continue to do
Yeah.
what we're doing, right, in the city, in the inn, in all of the other areas. But we can do so much more if others put their hand up too.
Absolutely.
And say,
That's
I can
correct.
help. I can only help with dollars, or I can only help with
A little bit of time,
right,
whatever it
or a
is.
donation of food, whatever it is. Put your hand up and say yes to St. Thomas. Will be a far better place.
That's right.
And it's easy to say that at the Christmas season, but we've got 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? 365 days a year that we've got to serve people in this community until we don't have to anymore, because there is no home.
There is one. And that'd be something.
Yeah. If we got there, wow.
Oh,
We'd have a big party.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I'll help with that.
Okay.
So are you going to put on your Christmas hat as we say goodbye to everybody?
I had it out in front of me here, but it was lighting up before I came, and now it's not lighting
Oh,
up.
Joe, that's so you.
So Merry Christmas. Grayden and I will see you next week. And so we can't say Happy New Year yet, but Merry Christmas to you. Be with family, do all the things you can do, and remember your community. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Christmas.